All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Quijano of the Careington Marketing Department. We want to thank each of you for participating in today's webinar on the importance and value of virtual health solutions in today's challenging benefits landscape. Our host for today's call is Greg Rudisill, Senior Vice President of Strategic Partnerships for Careington. Greg, take it away.
Thank you, Q. Wow, I feel a little bit like James Bond when I say that. Anyway, I'm Greg Rudisill, the host of today's webinar. I have over 42 years of experience in the insurance and benefit industry and have worked at Careington for the past 17 years. During the course of today's presentation, when you have questions, please use the question feature on this site, and we will have your questions addressed by our speakers during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. We have a packed agenda today featuring two exceptional and knowledgeable speakers. Our two keynote speakers today are Dr. Fred Sharp, Clinical Director for DialCare Teledentistry, and Jeremy Hedrick, President of DialCare. Dr. Sharp started a successful dental credentialing company, and he's worked for over 30 years in the dental insurance and government program space, and he has practiced dentistry for 43 years as a general practicing dentist. Jeremy Hedrick has held several leadership positions within Careington, including customer service, provider relations, regulatory, claims administration, and international expansion efforts. Now, in case you aren't familiar with Careington, let me provide a brief background. Careington is an established hub for enhancing benefit offerings with valuable non-insurance solutions, and we've been doing this for over 40 years. Careington and our affiliate companies provide innovative networks, products, service solutions to employer groups, insurance companies, third-party administrators, association groups, brokers and consultants, and yes, we even have money-saving solutions direct to individuals. Careington was founded in 1979 by two dentists. In 1993, the company expanded from being solely a dental company to offering an array of other ancillary products. It was in 2007 when the company began offering telehealth products, and we launched our own telemedicine company, DialCare, in 2018, followed by DialCare Mental Wellness in 2019, and now in 2020, we expanded our virtual care offerings to include DialCare Teledentistry. Careington is a single source solution for delivering a variety of custom benefit programs, which can be fully administered by Careington for both you and your clients. Careington's products and our services fall within four distinct categories: ancillary health products, such as dental, vision, hearing, and telemedicine; wellness products that include chiropractic networks, weight loss programs, vitamins, supplements, and health club programs. And we offer a myriad of lifestyle products, including ID theft protection, legal, and pet care products. And finally, a category entitled Service Solutions, which includes our licensed agent call center for enrollment services, group and individual billing capabilities, and claims administration. On the next page, you're going to see some of our existing products and the product packages that we offer. However, we specialize in creating custom product bundles and offering these on both a co-branded or a private labeled basis. Now, let's turn our focus on today's topic: why virtual healthcare solutions must be a part of everyone's essential benefits. Yes, COVID-19 drove urgency because people couldn't easily access medical care, mental wellness care, or even dental care. However, virtual healthcare was growing long before COVID-19 and will continue to expand because people want to receive care from their home when they're traveling and without waiting to see a doctor in a physical office. Employer and health plans are seeing the value because these services are perceived to offer high value while providing affordable ways for employees to access care. And now I would like to have Jeremy Hedrick continue the discussion on our virtual healthcare solutions. Jeremy?
Appreciate it, Greg. Thank you. Appreciate everybody who's joining us today. Good morning, maybe East Coast folks, early good afternoon. Definitely appreciate the opportunity to present today and just talk about what we're doing here at DialCare and obviously as an affiliate of Careington, what that looks like for you all in the benefits space. Something we're very proud of, but obviously very applicable to the market in general, but especially in today's market. You know, access to virtual healthcare has never been more important, and I would say never been more utilized than now. You know, I think we were always seeing trends heading in the right direction for virtual care, regardless of the angle of that, whether it's chronic care management or virtual primary care or just general care and performed virtually or accessed virtually. COVID-19 obviously put everything in a pressure cooker and amplified it very quickly. And as a result, folks that had never used telemedicine before, whether they just didn't have access to it or didn't think they did, or they were scared of it or whatever, we've really seen an increase in utilization across the board. So it's obviously important to keep consumer use and access easy when it comes to virtual access to products and services and to care, which is why bundling virtual services, like some of what we'll show you as an example today, bundling all of that in one place makes sense. It helps drive usage. It helps convenience for the user. It really does allow for a seamless approach to offering access where and when it's needed at a convenience that while pre-COVID may have just strictly been around convenience, now is potentially out of necessity as well. So let's look at a few of these programs in a bit more detail. So healthcare navigation, for those that may not be familiar with this program, I assume that most of you may be, but you know, all of us know that navigating our healthcare system can be extremely challenging, right? From the basic things of finding physicians and getting appointments to the claims process, the appeals process, in-network, out-of-network, all of those elements really can make navigating our systems difficult. They're great systems. They offer incredible care, but they can be a real challenge to navigate, especially if you're trying to do it remotely, maybe for an aging parent or someone that you're not located close to them geographically. So everything you're trying to do, you're researching, not being able to, and then connecting into that virtually, you're not able to transact that in person. And that's where a program like Healthcare Navigation can really come in and aid in finding the best physicians, the appointment scheduling, any of the resolution to questions and problems that inevitably will arise. Personally, we have used this for a member of my family who's going through stage 4 cancer, has been for the last year and a half. And I can tell you firsthand that having an advocate like this, having a system and a program like this that can help navigate all of those pieces of the puzzle, helping find the best care and connecting with some of the best care that we could get and the best physicians, helping with that claims process, understanding where it is and having an advocate for us has been huge. And so navigating through the system is an incredibly needed piece of our programs today, and it's also a massive stress reducer to those that are trying to kind of shoulder all of this, which it does take a team. It takes a large group of us to try to navigate through that. So healthcare navigation is huge. And the great part about this is it's all accessible virtually if it needs to be and if you want it to be. And so your span of care can exist far outside the geography of where it could if you were limited by in-person. So really happy with the healthcare navigation piece. Would highly encourage you to take a look at it. If you haven't in the past, or if you've debated putting it in, there's a lot of benefit to that, which leads to the next product that we wanted to highlight, which is kind of around this expert second opinion. And it's a service that offers so much peace of mind and clarity around a host of illnesses, a host of treatment options. It's all able to access virtually. So you're able to consult with top specialists from around the country to confirm and guide your approach. This is an incredible comfort to all involved when you're going through this. Again, I'll tie back to the experience that we're having right now. The ability to connect with a top cancer specialist in New York, we live in Texas, and to be able to connect with a specialist in New York where the logistics of traveling, obviously this initial interaction we had was pre-COVID, but imagine in today's world that trying to get everybody goals that you can on a plane and traveling to this expert and getting appointments and all that is involved in that is not easy to do. And in some cases, it's an impossibility depending on the circumstance. And so when you look at expert kind of second opinion, there's an immense time savings. There's incredible money savings, travel, like I said, stress, and then confirmation. I think that goes a little bit, can potentially get swept under the rug a little bit of some of the benefits of having this second opinion, where you're trustful of your physicians and the care that you're in, but having that impartial second opinion that looks at the totality of your records and diagnosis and just helps kind of guide through that is where we see a tremendous tie. So when you have the previous program that we talked about leading into this, it really does help shore up the totality of that offering and is incredibly helpful, and does definitely help eliminate some of the stress of the logistics and the administration of getting care, which we want to minimize, right? As caregivers and folks either dealing with that ourselves or for our loved ones, we want to be able to focus on recovery and treatment, not all of the logistics. So I would say that if you are going through any of that, these definitely help. I think even if you're not in the midst of this, our next program is something we wanted to highlight because I think all of our lives have been thrown into some level of chaos. And so having a program like this work-life assistance program that we'll show now can be incredibly helpful given our crazy schedules, right? I'm not sure about everyone, but most folks, kids have made their way back to school either virtually or in person or a hybrid of those two things. Some may be just now getting back to that. For us here, a lot of our schools have started in the last few weeks. And that's just resurrecting a lot of the challenge. There are still a lot of folks working from home as well. And so when you've got the work from home, you've got your potentially your kids that maybe can't go to daycare back like they used to, or it's a little bit of a different model or schedule, or you have kids that are in school. It just changes the dynamic, and we all could use extra hands and extra help. And that's where this kind of work-life assistance program can really fit. It can help with a vast number of personal services, can aid in a better work-life balance, which obviously all of us know we need. It would be helpful and is definitely a nice piece to add to the totality of a virtual care offering. Obviously, this is not in the same swim lane of treatment and care for a medical condition as some of the other programs that we've talked about and some of the other ones that we'll show here in a minute. But it definitely does help reduce stress, spread the wealth a little bit of trying to increase your bandwidth to deal with everything that's being thrown at us today. So really a nice program to look at and consider having as part of a virtual care offering for your employers or your self-funded groups, whatever the case may be. It's a really solid fit for that. So wanted to highlight those three programs. Now let's take a little bit of a deeper look into DialCare. And just to set the stage, some of you may already be familiar with DialCare. Some of you may just be hearing of us for the first time today. We are an affiliate company of Careington. I personally have worked at Careington for over 19, almost 20 years. I've held various roles there over those years. But back in 2015, 2016, we had been offering other telemedicine programs for years and years before then. And we just found that consumer and group expectation was evolving faster than the partners that we had at the time were evolving. And a lot of those vendor partners back then had kind of carved out their niche, and that's where they were staying, and that's where they were really focused on. And yet we found some people being left kind of caught in the wake a little bit and not being able to get access to the virtual care that they may want through telemedicine. And so back in 2016, internally, a lot of us started to ask, you know, how can we address this? And the answer was, should we build, create, and launch our own telemedicine company? And to do that, we had to answer why, right? As all good businesses and entrepreneurs do, what are we trying to solve for? We knew we would be launching into a crowded marketplace with some really great companies that were offering virtual care. But what were we going to offer that wasn't already out there, and how were we going to do it differently and, in our opinion, better for the types of audiences, the types of deals, and the partner that we are? How could we do it a little bit differently? And so two things that I'll point out, that there were several cornerstones that we never wavered from. One of them is flexibility. It's an overused word. I should probably get a thesaurus and find better ones, but it's the reality of it. We knew that the struggles that we were having as a distributor of other people's programs back then is that there was a lack of flexibility and a growing rigidness to what other companies would be willing to do or be willing to develop or customize. And that really wasn't, and still isn't, hopefully never will be, the Careington DNA. Ours is, how do we partner, make a good business decision? If it makes sense, if it's a good partnership, if it's compliant, and it looks like there's an opportunity for us to do good things with our partners, we should do that. And so when we looked at flexibility, it was all around how we would structure groups, product configuration, utilization, pricing, the ability to co-brand and private label. And we did this for all groups, all market segments, small to large, fully funded, self-funded, non-insured. We knew there was a host of market segments that were somewhat being left behind. And so we're open to all ways of configuring our program. Since it's ours, we know what we can and can't turn on and off, and really do have so much more flexibility than we had prior to launching our own. So when knowing that telemed, back then, we knew that telemed was important. We knew that virtual access was important. We as employees had been using it for several years, back from 2013, 14, 15, leading up to when we decided to build our own. And so, you know, there were a multitude of statistics back then that were showing us and leading us to know that virtual care is really where the market could be heading in a lot of ways. And some of the stats that you'll see that we shared today, these are all statistics that are pre-COVID. I won't spend a ton of time on these. You can read through these. We could have chosen 100 different stats to put up here. But let's just say that in general, all projections in multiple segments of use for virtual care was trending up and projected to continue to trend up. All of these, like I said, are pre-COVID. Imagine if we go in now and start asking some of these same questions of the market as it exists today. We know so many more have been able to, and maybe even, well, able to, yes, but more importantly, maybe willing to, because they didn't have a choice, to use telemedicine for the first time. It's a multi-generational approach to giving broader access, right? It solves for geography challenges, access challenges. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go into some of our other programs. But, it really is now a multi-generational approach to care when it's the right care to deliver virtually. And then not in all cases is all care good to be delivered virtually. There are some things that obviously just have to be face-to-face or maybe have better outcomes face-to-face, but the vast majority can be done. And when I say multi-generational, we have seen during this COVID time a large widening of our demographics of users. To give you the far bookend to one side is we had a 96-year-old who had access to our program, who accessed the entirety of his physician visit through the app. Never called our call center, even though that's always an option. It's 24/7, but had downloaded the app, scheduled an appointment, spoke to one of our physicians. It was a phenomenal experience. So when we get into physician access, which you're seeing now, we knew that needed to be our first program when we were deciding what programs we may be interested in launching back when we started this in 2016 and development throughout 2017. And so physician access was our initial product. We knew that it was the highest usage, the largest impact initially, and we knew it could be a fit for any age, any market segment, any distribution method, and knew that this is something that we could offer groups that could have a bit more flexibility in what they had experienced maybe in the past, or at least have the ease of use to experience it for the first time in partnering with us. Just a few highlights. This is an on-demand 24/7 non-emergency, low acuity type access. It is on demand, meaning you are, first in, next out on the physician. That you'll see the virtual queue is incredibly easily accessible and navigated either through a desktop portal, website portal, or an app, both Google and Apple, or calling our call center. Everything you need to access the program can be done in one of those three methods with the same experience. And we've seen huge usage and feedback for that. Just to give you a little bit of insight into one of the differences we knew we needed to have coming into the market was how we viewed the network and stacked our network in a way that's all directly contracted. And we knew that we had to do that in a way that could impact utilization and impact usage in a way where we could have the best experience for our consumers. That has resulted in a wait time currently around 5 minutes, far below industry averages out there, even during COVID. Where others out there that aren't necessarily built to handle the increase in volume, it was much more built around, we knew others out there that are much more built around, hey, this is a low utilized program, therefore we can have kind of a smaller network, because we know it would take a global pandemic to spike this in a way that we couldn't handle, and lo and behold, that's what happened. So when others, and not that we ever hope we have that pressure cooker again, we know that it's kind of the state of affairs for us now. Others were experiencing 72-hour plus wait times, and we only moved up to about 8.5 minutes was our highest wait time, even though our growth was exponential overnight within a 24-hour period. We saw a tremendous increase, and it never really has returned to pre-COVID levels, which is great because people are using it and realize the value of it. And so we knew that we had delivered on our promise to our partners of access in a way that maybe others weren't getting or that they weren't used to. We also knew that we needed to target utilization for this audience. Just know that will look different for each of your groups, and that's intentional. And we create an electronic and social media campaign strategy with each of our partners to help drive education and usage. Those are two ways. One is calendar based. So take the COVID pandemic off of your brain for a second, even though it's really hard given that it's everywhere. But when I say calendar driven, that would be typically flu season, seasonal allergies, back to school, summer, holidays, those types of things, where we'll create content around something calendar driven, or a holiday, or an event that most folks are experiencing. That's calendar. But then there's also topic specific. Now put your COVID hats back on. Obviously, we've done a lot of communication through COVID, from the beginning of just making sure people understood what it meant to access virtually, and then to how to try to stay safe, into how to kind of move back into some level of a new normal-ish. And so we're very active with that. We have a phenomenal sales, marketing, social media, content, copywriting team internally that we really try to focus. And that information will be focused and tailored to your demographic. We have some groups whose average age may be 65, 70 years old. And so that focus has a little bit different tone than if we know the average age of a group may be significantly younger than that. And again, same access, same content, but just delivered in a way that's more relevant for them. So the physician access program started, and we knew it was important, but we also knew that mental wellness was the program that we would launch next. We knew it was near and dear to our hearts for a lot of reasons. And so we quickly started to develop and launch our mental wellness program, which came a little bit after our physician program. Mental wellness now is more relevant and in more need now than ever, with the stress, the anxiety, loneliness, isolation, all of those things that are happening. And so allowing virtual access to clinicians. This program is a little different than our teledentistry or our telemedicine, our physician access program, in that this is scheduled consults with a licensed clinician. You pick your clinician, you pick an actual 30-minute counseling time, and then you enter into that video chat or phone call with them at the appointed time. And this really allows and addresses access issues, any shortages. We have some clients who the nearest counselor is an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes away. We have some who have one choice in their town, and that's just not someone they're comfortable seeing. When you eliminate geography as a barrier to accessing mental wellness, it's a phenomenal program. Really are happy with that. As a pivot, as we were developing our standard mental wellness program, we were challenged and tasked by our state government here in Texas to come up with a program specifically for students, specifically ages 11 to 18, so roughly 6th grade and up. It was based on several factors that were happening in our state at the time, and we took that challenge on and developed a student program that we've now launched across the entire country that focuses on that age. The clinicians or adolescent specialists that have dealt with at least 5 years or more with specific counseling to adolescents. And it is it's accessible via the app. I'll tell you 100% of our registrations and consults to date have been done through the app, because that's a digitally native generation. That's how they access us. And it's really starting to expand. We've since created another version for universities. Obviously a little bit different when it comes to parental consent and those types of things, but a lot of nuance to that. If anybody has questions in our student program, please let us know. Reach out to Greg. You'll have his information at the end of this. Would be happy to set up and talk to you about that. And now we have this totality of a program that we can offer students to adults, and really happy with what we're seeing and the responses that we're seeing, and in some cases eliminating the stigma for some folks that may not access care in person. And that leads us to our latest program that we most recently launched, which is teledentistry. And I'll say that the first question I normally get when I talk about this is, teledentistry, really? Like, what can you do virtually in dentistry? And the answer is there's quite a bit. And obviously our roots are in dental, over 40 years worth of experience coming out of the Careington fold. And when folks found out we were launching DialCare, actually a lot of folks thought we would start in dentistry because of our background. But the easiest example I'll say to kind of frame what can you do with a virtual dental program. We're owned by a dentist, and for 20 years I've had access to him to say, hey, I've got a question. This is what my treatment plan was, or this is what my son's treatment plan was, or does this make sense to you? And I've had an impartial, completely independent second opinion to help guide me through that, and it has been invaluable. Not many people have that. And if you do, you understand the value of it. And so that's one of the avenues. And there's so much more that can be offered, whether it's oral health advice, after hours questions, second opinion, virtual checkups, et cetera. So to get into a little bit more detail, offer both a business and clinical perspective on our teledentistry program, I'm going to hand things over to our dental director for DialCare, Dr. Fred Sharp.
Thank you, Jared. I'm Dr. Fred Sharp. I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting. I may know some of you from my history in the benefits industry. And now working with DialCare, I'm finding this to be a very interesting experience and something that we're really going to have, I think, a lot of interest in the benefits area. Dentistry is being challenged right now. Dentistry is really been suffering from the coronavirus because essentially dental care and dentistry was not initially considered an essential business. So dental offices were forced to close for a good period of time. Most of them were closed for 2 to 3 months. And just happening yesterday in USA Today, there was an article about how dentistry is dealing with the pandemic. And it was called Cracked Teeth, Gross Gums, Dentists See a Surge of Problems, and the Pandemic is Likely to Blame. And the pandemic is likely to blame. So what is this telling us? Well, first of all, cracked teeth, stress can bring on grinding and other problems with putting your teeth together too hard, and cracked teeth need to be treated, often need to have root canals. Gross gums means that the patient has not been taking care of their home care, possibly due to distraction, stress, fear, etc., going on during this virus period. And finally, a surge of dental problems because dentistry has been put off. And the statistics that were in the article indicated that 1 out of 5 patients has, over the past months, gone to see a dentist, where patients have indicated in surveys that 2 out of 5 patients are indeed suffering from something that they need to see a dentist for, but are not going. So we see a little bit of a tsunami of dental problems that seems to be coming forward. And patients have been putting off dental care, dental visits. They've been, they've been letting their habits slip. They haven't been brushing and flossing. So I need to remind all of you on the phone, remember your brushing, flossing, home care. And finally, painful situations, decay, cracked teeth, etc., are being ignored or put on the back burner. So this is an ideal time to really be talking about DialCare. As Jeremy indicated, one of the key things is a second opinion, but also another key thing is the access to talk to a dentist about just what's my problem, what's going on, why am I having this pain? So teledentistry today admittedly has fewer avenues of care than what telemedicine would have, primarily because most dentistry is hands-on and isn't using just pharmaceuticals or diagnostic tools. But at the same point, we have uses in dentistry today that are growing pretty rapidly. The first one is, of course, dental offices that have put in teledentistry for their own patients. We're seeing a growth in this area. Different companies have supplied programs where you can do teledentistry for your own patients. And the second area is the area of Medicaid, where counties and states have been sending hygienists out to do schools, and they're able to contact a dentist back at a dental office and show them through cameras what the situation was with the patient. I personally had been involved in these programs, and we basically used them as a triage to warn these patients or these children that they had some serious dental problems and they needed to get treated quickly. So this is where we are today. And of course, your question's got to be, who's going to use this? Well, sure, patients that got treatment plans and want a second opinion, as Jeremy stated. Also, we have to understand that even though patients have very nice, very robust dental plans through their employer, my history at 35 years in dental benefits has shown that on average, adults under dental programs, even comprehensive dental plans, only about 60% of those people actually use their dental program. So that would say those benefits are not used by 40% of the employer group. Thus, we have probably a pretty good number of folks in most employer groups that really don't have a dentist. So this can provide them an opportunity to contact a dentist when they don't have a relationship with a dentist of their own. And as the slide shows, there's a number of things that can be done, primarily diagnostic of oral health problems, and also our dentists can provide certain pharmaceuticals, not pain relievers, but antibiotics, et cetera. But the real thing is prompt response to questions. Patients have dental issues, dental questions, dental problems, and this provides a prompt response to get them moving in the right direction, to calm their fears, to let mothers be understanding of what happened when her child chipped a tooth, when they might need orthodontia, et cetera. So we believe DialCare is really going to be a very important part of any benefits. And the other thing is to remember that this is a 24/7 benefit. So folks that are traveling, folks that are out of town, not near their dentist, they can still contact this service and get opinions on an issue that might come up when they were at, say, Disney World. So today we're kicking off DialCare. We think it's a timely benefit. We think it's a needed and useful benefit. And we're hopeful that this meeting today will help provide you information and also will allow you to understand better what can be done in the dental sphere as far as teledentistry is concerned. So I'll turn it over now to Greg, and we'll allow you to ask questions that you might have based on what's happened.
Thank you both. A couple of questions that came up. Is there additional hardware or technology needed for the teledentistry program?
Now, let me touch on that. I've got a real good friend. I've got a real good friend who's a dentist working with the VA, and he said, you know, iPhones are fabulous at showing oral conditions remotely. He said, I use it with these veterans who aren't able to get to our dental clinic all the time, and it works great. So most of us are carrying around the kind of technology we need.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add to that is Dr. Sharp's spot on. There's no additional technology needed, but I will say from our platform, this is not specific just to teledentistry, this is across the board, that we've also built the program around knowing how much wearables play a part in kind of the future, I would say present and future. So the ability to plug that in, Bluetooth connect a device, whether that's a scale or a blood glucose monitor or a new Oral-B toothbrush. All of those could be possible within programs. So for those of you that may have questions around that, while the phone, to Dr. Sharp's point, takes amazing images, there are other pieces both in and out of teledentistry that we could talk through embedding into the program as well. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Thank you both. Another question, are DialCare dentists allowed to prescribe medication?
Yes, but it's limited. We aren't allowing controlled substances. In general, dentists only prescribe in circumstances with post-op pain, which really in this case should be covered by the doctor who treated this patient, or with pain and swelling from an infection or something like that. But yes, dentists do prescribe antibiotics, low-grade other medications of a non-controlled substance basis.
I think you both covered this topic, but one final question is on the use of teledentistry for second opinions. Do you both want to just kind of recap that for this person?
Yeah, I would just say, the example I gave, personally, I think it's true across the board. Dentistry is expensive. It's hard to understand, and you're going to get a large swath of conservative versus aggressive treatment. Let's just put it that way. And they can all be incredibly viable. So this is not about trying to undermine in any way your primary care dentist. It's about getting an impartial second opinion who has absolutely no upside, whether that's a new patient or financial upside, to telling you something that they think you might want to hear. This is an impartial opinion that says, hey, based on your digital x-rays, the treatment plan, here's what I feel is happening. And I do think this is good advice that you've been given, and you should pursue that, or if there's a different opinion. So I answer that non-clinically because I've used it so often that I love it. Dr. Sharp, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I've been a dentist for 43 years. So of course I've had any number of instances where friends, family have come and said, hey, this is what's being recommended. And, sometimes I'm looking at an x-ray that they're carrying or have on their phone or computer or something like that. I think the reality is that there are many varying ways to treat dental disease, dental issues, dental caries, and differing dentists have differing practices. I think a lot of people have questions because most of us aren't that aware of what goes on in our mouth other than what we're told by our dentist. So second opinions are often very valuable from from an informational standpoint. And DialCare is not set up for referrals to the dentist who's answering the questions. So clearly, as Jeremy stated, they're impartial. They're not looking to gain a patient off of this thing. They are just simply there for their professional advice.
I actually have a question. So how does the patient share their treatment plan that they've received on your platform?
Yeah, so great question. And I'll answer this kind of more broadly than just teledentistry. So generally, if anybody on this webinar wants to see a demo of our system, reach out to Greg. We're happy to do that. It tends to help to see it. But one feature that we have brought in is an upload a document feature. It's the easiest thing possible. You just click and drag whatever file in there. So as long as you have a file on your device, whether that's your phone, tablet, computer, where you may have a PDF, a Word document, whatever, all you do is click, drag it into the box, it uploads, and when you go into the consult, the clinician, in this case a dentist, would see those documents, pull them up, and they could review those prior to actually accepting and talking to you via consult. The same is true on mental wellness. A lot of our counselors give some journaling homework, and so you can upload your journal entries via that same feature. And in our physician, it could be lab work, it could be an article that you read, questions on, hey, does this work for this kind of thing? And regardless of document type, it's easy to upload. And it stays part of your file, so it kind of becomes a record storage as well. So great question, and definitely something we've built into it.
Yeah, and I'd add 2 points to what Jeremy's saying. First of all, a majority of dentists now are using radiographs that are electronic. The old dip them and have physical x-rays sitting at the side of your dental chair is pretty much long gone. There are some offices that'll print out the x-rays, but most x-rays, many instances, are now electronic and easily sent through the internet. And secondly, those are pretty much the primary diagnostic tools in dentistry. The rest is all recordings of periodontal probings, locations of caries, et cetera, that the dentist has observed. So again, that's either electronic or it's on a sheet of paper that can be easily scanned or photographed. So it's pretty easy to give the dentist on DialCare whatever information is available for them to give a fairly solid opinion of what really could be happening for this patient.
Very good. I think that's the end of the questions for today. I want to thank both of you, Dr. Sharp, Jeremy. Thank you for giving us some great information today. I want to thank each of our attendees. Thank you for participating and listening on the call today. Each of you will receive an email following today's presentation with details on the presentation and how you will be able to share this webcast with others that weren't able to listen in today. I want to thank each of you and have a great day. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.